Andy Secor here from Make Shots Basketball Training. If you're anything like me, you are just missing being in the gym, missing being at the park, missing being anywhere around players and around the game. If you're like me, you love the game so much, it's such an integral part of your life. This time is tough. Thanks for all the social media shout outs and texts and emails about how these videos are keeping you connected to the game and maybe you're learning something from them. So if you remember last time, I talked about these are the 7 things that I first look at when I begin to analyze a shooter, either in person or on film. So we're going to focus today on just number 1, hand placement on the ball. So I'm going to do that through a couple different ways. First, through some pictures. But basically where we're starting at is where the players' hands are, how they connect to the ball when they first catch or begin the shooting process, or as they go through that shooting process. So the first part is, let's talk about the right hand here first. So Hannah Schrader here, you can see one of the things I do in our first sessions is take some still shots of where their player's hands naturally connects to the ball. So basically what I'm trying to do here is if I poke on the ball on this side and I poke on the ball on this side, will the ball fall over on either side? How truly is the ball centered in her hand? Because we know that some of shooting is simple physics. It's simple geometry. If the center of your hand shoots the center of the ball at the center of the rim, it's going to simplify the process and it's going to go in more often than not. Again, if the center of your hand shoots the center of the ball at the center of the rim, you're really going to be able to simplify the process. So you can see I'm checking that here with Hannah, who's pretty good in terms of being centered. Here's a picture of Theron Halleck as she kind of moves the ball up to the 2 spot. For her as a shooter, you can see one of the things you notice right away is how wide her fingers are. You can see that her and Cam down here are really making an L instead of a J with their hands. So it's really like this in terms of how they're spread. That allows Theron to get a lot more power and control on the ball. You can see Hillary Griffin down here again. We want the center of your hand. So for 90% of basketball players, the center of their hand is the index finger. So people ask, hey, what do you teach is the center of your hand? Well, I don't teach. Those are some things that are just facts. So a lot of the players I train are either middle finger shooters, split finger shooters, or index finger shooters. But I have to know where that is for them because it helps me track and analyze makes and misses back to its starting point. So you can see here with Hillary, she's probably a little bit more of a middle finger center, maybe split finger. Cam from Byron Center, you can see is definitely split. The center of the ball is probably right between his index and middle finger, maybe a little bit closer to his index. And then one of the other things that can pose a challenge for shooters is if their hand gets really far on the outside of the ball. So you can see, naturally, Sydney Viss here and Andrew Carlson, their right hand covers the right side of the ball in this case a little bit more than the left side of the ball. They can still make a lot of shots. They're still really good shooters, but it's important for me to know where is that right hand in terms of coverage. I also need to look at how both hands connect to the ball together. So here's Hannah and Theron again, my 2 players that I've just started working with in the past month or so. And you can see I want to see with this left hand, again, how wide are the fingers spread? What's the angle like? So is that left hand really pushing in on the ball, which can be a little bit of a problem? You can see both with Hannah and Theron that left elbow is not really rigid or at a 90-degree angle, so it's not pushing the ball towards the right. Similarly with Tommy Gregoire here and Jillian Brown, you can see that left elbow, we wouldn't want Jillian's left arm to be on this kind of a flat angle because it would be pushing the ball that way. This side, we don't want her pushing the ball that way. We want it to be kind of on this angle, which is good, not this straight across angle. Similarly for Tommy, you can see his left angle, his left hand is really flat, and his left hand is just on the side of the ball there. One of the other things we look at with left hand is how far left or right is it and how far low or high is it. So for Theron, she is right on the side. She's not really high. She's not really low. Her left hand is in a really, really good position. You can see for Hannah, her left hand gets on top of the ball a little bit. It's not down here underneath. It's a little bit on top, which could impact her shot. Tommy's is pretty quiet in terms of flat with his fingers spread there. And then you can see Emma Arico down here too. I wanted to show a lefty. So you can see her right hand is a little bit behind, but pretty flat as a guide hand on that side of the ball. So, you know, when looking at all of these still shots, it's a little bit different than seeing it on film. It's a little bit different than seeing it in person, but basically on the right hand, we're trying to see where is the center of their right hand or their shooting hand on the ball. And with their left hand, where does their left hand start and how does their left hand impact the shot throughout the shooting process? I can trace just about every aspect of shooting to how the player connects to the ball. Stay tuned, and I'll be back next time to talk a little bit about shooting pocket location.